Hello, okay, welcome to another tutorial for the Singapore English Literature O-Level exams. Today I want to talk about impressions and feelings, and to start with, if you see here, I've just written down some of the type of questions that you typically get, which have these two concepts in them. So if we just have a quick look at the questions. What impression have you formed of something? Of a character or a place or something. What are your impressions of? Could be the city or the family or the person. What vivid impressions, that can be replaced by something else, so what vivid impressions are portrayed by the poet or the author, or are portrayed in the city, or whatever it might be. So those are sort of impression questions that you can face. Then secondly, how does the poet make you feel about something? Alternatively, what are your feelings about something or towards something? And how does the author convey her feelings? Okay, so what you see here is the idea of feelings or impressions. And the reason I want to talk about this today in this particular tutorial is because I think these two things can cause some confusion about what exactly are you supposed to write when you're asked to explain these two different things. So we're going to have a look at that today. Let me clear the screen first and then we'll talk about them some more. Okay, so let's have a look at feelings and impressions in a little bit more detail. I've written on this page some of the key points that I think we should be looking at when we're talking about these two things. Okay, let's start with feelings. Okay, when a question asks you for feelings, I think the key ideas that you want to be talking about are these four here. This is usually what the examiner is looking for. You have respect or admiration or empathy or sympathy for the character. Those are sort of the key feelings that you want to be discussing when you write your answers. There are others. I think you can extend the idea to some other feelings such as dislike, despise, disgust, loathe, spurn, abhor. Those are all sort of negative feelings that you might have for a character or a place. Love and hate could also be substituted here. And the way I want you to try and remember feelings is if you tell yourself the author wants us to feel something with this character, or wants us to respect this character, or the author wants us to admire this character, or the author wants us to hate this character or loathe this character. Alternatively, the author wants us to feel loathing with the city, or the author wants us to feel dislike about something. So that's a good way of remembering how to answer questions which ask for your feelings about something. Okay? In contrast, if we get a question on impressions, I think in that sense you want to ask yourself, the character is something. The character is smart, or the character is cruel, or the character is caring, or the character is foolish, or the city is mysterious, or the city is dark. And what you can tell yourself there is that we're thinking about traits. So impressions usually relate to traits. And one way to remember how to answer impression questions is I get the impression that they are caring or mean or cruel. I get the impression the city is lively or boring. It's an impression that you get. And another way to think about that is when you're reading the closed passage or the poem, which is then asking you for an impression on something, you're looking for inference, or the idea of the author may show you something but won't actually tell you something. So you have to sort of read between the lines a little bit and infer. Yeah, so I can infer that the character is very caring by what they show you in the passage, or I can infer that the character is very cruel because of how they behave in the passage. Okay, the author may not tell you that the character is cruel, but we are shown that the character is cruel. And that is the impression that we can get. You may get questions that ask for both. So I get the impression the character is cruel, and that makes me feel disgust, or loathing, or dislike. Okay? So those are the key differences between feelings and impressions. I hope this short tutorial has helped clarify how you should be answering those types of questions. Okay, thanks a lot.